Mr. Carrick, you have talked about the three directions of investigation of the contents of the hard drive. But Lude wants to know regarding to Hunter Biden's contacts with Chinese Communist Party's spy agents like Ye Jianming and Patrick Ho. So do you think this is also a case of violating FARA, foreign agent registration, as well? Have you thought about this, Mr. Carrick?
1,000%. 1,000%. There are FARA violations that are very clear and distinct when you read the emails and the text messages, which is going to be problematic for Hunter Biden. So the FBI is looking at money laundering. That's only the beginning. When they take the hard drive, they take the text messages, they take the emails, they take Bobulinski's, his partner, who he put in one of the companies as the CEO, when they take his evidence that he has, they put it all together. This will eventually be known as one of the most substantial corruption scandals in U.S. history.
State will get the ball first.
I believe now that a rising China is a positive development.
Where he was going to get $30,000 a year, $30 million a year, and he was in business with three Chinese communists.
It wasn't our company in the Terrasis report, but we do have components in our products that come from China.
What was so interesting was I assumed coming into it that the big manufacturers, companies like ES&S and Dominion, had provided these machines to the hackers to, field test them. But no, it turns out there's an extremely hostile relationship there, and that ES&S and Dominion and other companies have basically said we don't want to participate, and really have been quite aggressive in saying we don't want to be part of this. So the organizers were reduced to finding these machines on eBay, which right there is pretty terrifying, because it turns out that anybody can buy some of the most common machines in use on eBay. What was really alarming was when you see these hackers, and these are people who've never seen these machines before, have had no practice on them for the most part, come in and engage them, they immediately get into the guts of them. Beyond that, we were seeing Dominion's image cast system. It's a line of tabulators that paper ballots are fed into That had its guts all over the room. It was not clear to us whether this was the most recent version of the ImageCast hardware, but it's important to know that Georgia just spent over is about to spend over $100 million on a contract with Dominion to provide ImageCast hardware to the state in time for the for the next primaries and for the 2020 election. And yet here these kids were who had opened it up. They said, look, you can pop the front off of it, and here's a port you can get into right here. That's easy. You know, all kinds of stuff that you could certainly do within 6 minutes behind a curtain, much less if you had extra time, because any of these were connected to the web, as we discovered a couple of days before. So many of them are.
With the large amount of vividly disturbing videos and pictures, people start to realize the obscene sex life that Hunter Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden's son, lives in private. However, more evidence shows that not only did Hunter Biden hold an obscene lifestyle, but he also sold out Americans to companies controlled by the CCP, only to make profit for himself. An email sent from James Gilliard to Hunter Biden and Jim Biden on April 18th of 2017 at 2:47 p.m. was a report on their dealing with the CCP. The email clearly showed the close relationship between the Biden family and the CEFC Hong Kong Fin, a financial corporation controlled by the CCP. The email specifically stated that the Biden family's work was the biggest contributor of their contract with the Oman Royal Office. The contract opened a door to Iranian gasoline supply for CCP. Below are the emails.
Leave the link to this article in the description, but this is crazy. It says Biden's daughter diary details inappropriate showers with Joe as a child. Gateway. So I'm going to read some of it. I recommend you read the rest for yourself. National File obtained an alleged copy of the full diary of Ashley Blazer Biden, the 39-year-old daughter of Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, dating from the 2020 presidential campaign. National File also knows the precise location of the physical diary and was informed by a whistleblower that there is an audio recording of Ashley Biden admitting it is her diary. In the diary, which our source says is owned by the daughter of former vice president, the author describes her struggle with drug addiction. Ashley Biden's fight with drugs was widely publicized in 2009. You know, I hope she overcomes a drug addiction. And same, even with her brother. Yeah, I hope he overcomes his drug addiction and his problems of wanting to have sex with little girls too. Anyway, I'll continue reading. According to our source, the diary also details Ashley Biden's unhealthy relationship with sex and the probably not appropriate shower she shared as a young girl with her father, Joe Biden. After stating that she was there for sexual trauma in the previous entry on page 23 of the diary dated January 30th, 2019, the author explores the subject of sexual abuse and how it may have led to her libido hyperactive. I have had one of my toughest days. My libido is out of control. Like literally, I'm in heat. The author wrote, I know it's not the healthiest way to run things, but at least it's better than drugs. She wrote, adding that she thought she needed sex to get her feel good. The author explored why she felt this urge to have sex, claiming that she believed she was molested as a child. Was I molested? I think so. I don't remember the details, but I do remember a trauma, the author wrote, before listing a series of potential incidents, one of which may have included Dee's cousin, Ashley Biden, Caroline Biden. As the author says, she remembers sexualized alongside someone named Caroline. The author then wrote that she recalled showers with my dad, which were probably not appropriate. And here are pictures of the diary. On page 83, in an entry dated July 22nd, 2019, the author wrote that she received a phone call from her father, Joe Biden, according to our source, who cried on the phone while expressing concern of her in the days leading up to July 31st Democratic primary debate. My father cried on the phone, saying he has the debate in a week, and now he has to worry. She wrote, and he cried. Maybe he knows what he's doing and that it has worked, but my feelings of guilt are often overwhelming. This is crazy. Wow. So anyway, I just thought all of you should know this, right? Everybody do their own research, see where the research leads, and let the truth shine. And that's just the way we got to live. Whether we like what we see, what we hear, it doesn't matter if we like it or not. What matters is that the truth comes out. And this is crazy. I don't like this. This is crazy stuff. And this was the man who was a politician for 47 years, the man who was vice president for 8 years, and the man who might become the next president of the United States. I mean, I don't know. Deep down, I hope all of these things are just, they're all wrong, they're lies. That's what I really wish deep down. However, it doesn't seem that way. And whether I like it or not, whether we like it or not, we just gotta expose it and let the truth come out, either which way it ends up being. But this is just crazy. As always, I'm praying for the victims and their families.
Hello everyone, this is Kim.com. Today with a message to the New Zealand government and the authorities that destroyed Mega Upload and raided my home. Have a look at Joe Biden today. The former vice president who personally oversaw the destruction of my business, who installed his own lawyer in the DOJ to be a US attorney, to bring a case against me. This very same person has now evidence mounting about his corruption, his pay-for-play dealings with his donors. This is the man who brought shame on New Zealand because of all the illegal things that New Zealand has done to me in response to Joe Biden's request. The judiciary, the spy agencies, the New Zealand police, the corrupt former national government, all in cahoots with one of the biggest criminals in politics, Joe Biden. I would advise you to be very careful about how you are going to proceed now that Joe Biden is going to face serious scrutiny for all his corrupt dealings. This is a good time to reflect and observe what's happening in the United States. I'm still here, and I'm happy to remain here. All the best.
Coincidences. McCarrick is now Mr. McCarrick, right? Yeah. He goes from being what is called the American Pope. He's the cardinal here in Washington, D.C., a complete powerhouse, right? He's the guy that's one of the most depraved of all the pedophiles in the church and actually promoting other pedophiles around him, correct? He's also the guy he's the centerpiece, he's the mastermind in back of the deal with the CCP. He's the guy that actually goes, and as Miles Gross says, hey, they got these guys on two things. One, they're giving them cash. The other thing is they're blackmailing them because they understand all how debauched they are. So walk us through, why is McCarrick, and McCarrick's into this whole Joe Biden, I'm a good Catholic. He and Biden are thick as thieves. So there's no conspiracies, but there's no coincidences. Walk us through the coincidences around Mr. McCarrick.
Okay, number one, he was in charge of restarting the CCP negotiations with the Vatican in its secret deal. Where there's secrecy, there's Ted McCarrick. McCarrick was sent to China at least 3, possibly 4 times to do the bidding of Francis. And it ended up in a secret deal that was renewed a couple months ago. Secondly, McCarrick and Biden and Francis were behind the secret negotiations to normalize relations with the United States and Cuba. This is the Cuba deal that was the centerpiece of much of the Obama-Biden administration's second term. And just to show you how horrible this deal was, the Cuban Americans didn't forget. You know, they have long memories. And because the election wasn't stolen down in Florida, we know that the Cuban Americans came out in great support for Trump because they knew that Joe Biden had pushed this normalization agreement with the brutal regime that, you know, killed many of their relatives, a regime that they fled to the United States seeking freedom. So, you know, this is our globalist Pope who makes deals with the CCP and communist Cuba. Furthermore, you know, we don't know who's getting more money from the CCP, the Biden family or the Vatican. And that's what it's come down to.